It's time for another video. Maybe I should cash in on the excitement for the next set. I think it's called Strixhaven. Let's compare to our contemporaries first. So let's see. Limited resources. They're the very best in the craft, right? Limited resources. Strixhaven. Yes. 7 hours. How about the Lords of Limited? They're very good. Oh, that's only 30 minutes. Wait, that's only one color. Oh yeah, that's another 6 hours. Let me just check if I want to read Tolstoy's War and Peace or whether I'd like to watch one video about the next set. You know what? I think I know what the next video is going to be. Strixhaven, everything you need to know in 10 minutes or less. So as we know, Strixhaven is the school of mages, so it's sort of the schools of wizards and wizardry. But believe me, it's definitely no, it's not Harry Potter at all. So what is it we can expect to find in our Strixhaven School of Wizardry? Well, there are 4 houses, 5 colleges. The blue-red Prismari, the red-white Lorehold, white-black Silverquill, the green-black Witherbloom, and the blue-green Quandrix. 95% of your decks in this format will be in one of these schools. Colleges. There are only 3 new things you need to know about. There's cards that say Learn, and there are cards that say Lesson. If you have a card that says Learn on it, you can look in your sideboard for a card that has Lesson on it, and then put that card into your hand. Which means that lessons should all go into your sideboard, while cards with Learn might go into your main board. Apart from that, we have Magecraft, which just says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, also do an effect. And last up, we have Ward, which is a noob trap, which means that many beginning players, and well, many good players, but at the start of the format, will get trapped by the Ward. Ward means whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter it unless they pay the Ward cost. The ward cost can vary from card to card, but most of the time it just means pay mana. Sometimes it will mean pay health. But what about the cards themselves? Well, for you I've made a very few easy slides which will show you all of the cards in the set which you should not play. So first up, we've got our garbage tier commons. The Cram Session and the Dragon's Approach should probably be in 0 of your decks by the end of the format. If you follow this rule, you'll probably have a higher chance of winning. Then the Cogwork Archivist is just way too expensive a creature for such a small body, while its ability Reach is kind of okay, but its other ability could just as well have been no text at all, while Resculpt will be a card which makes your opponent extremely happy to see it, because it means if you excel one of their creatures, you turn one of their good creatures into still a very good creature, a 4/4, or if you use it on one of your own cards, it reads as a 2 mana, sacrifice an artifact or creature, get a fairly decent creature. 2 for 1 in yourself is a very good way of losing the game. Then the Soothsayer Adept and the Ageless Guardian are somewhat defensible. Yes, it is a good blocker, but how long do you want to block before you start winning? I don't know, I don't like them, but they are somewhat defensible. Let's take a quick look at these uncommons. Secret Rendezvous at the first is a 3 mana card that says you and your opponent each gets to draw 3 cards, so you immediately give card advantage to your opponent. In exchange for that, they also get to take the tempo, because they get to use their cards they drew first, you having already spent 3 of the mana of your turn, of course. Then just below that, in slightly higher quality level, but still very bad, are Detention Vortex and Lorehold Excavation. Detention Vortex says, for now I get to deactivate your very best card, but if they ever pay 3 mana, they get to take card advantage and reactivate their card again. Lorehold Excavation, on the other hand, is a card with a lot of text on it, but it basically does nothing. Test of Talents is a conditional counterspell for instants and sorceries. That's in Limited always very weak. Then at the bottom we had a card I was debating about. I don't know about Planted Forbidden. It might be good enough, maybe if you have a deck with a lot of Magecraft, but at the same time I thought the card would just be too slow. At the same time, in exchange for it being kind of slow, you also get to lose 1 life per card you're drawing, so you not only lose tempo, but also your opponent will be closer to killing you. Oh my god, what is this? So many rares and mythics on this list. Well, that's not so strange. Rares and mythics will often have very interesting text on them, but that also means that as a designer you get to screw up more than you would like to. In my opinion, the weakest rares of the set are all on this sheet, but Cody Vociferous Codex and Fervent Mastery definitely take the cake. Cody just says that for 3 mana you're no longer allowed to cast any permanent spell, including, of course, all of your creatures, which are usually the best cards of your deck. But in exchange, you will get to gain some card advantage, while the other cards in your hand which you can't cast are rotting away there until Cody dies. Fervent Mastery at the same time is a 5 mana spell that allows you to look for the 3 best cards out of your deck and then discard them through the random discard ability. So for the low price of 5 mana, you get to look for the exact cards you need right now and then hate yourself while they're thrown into your graveyard. Confront the Past though, it's a card that interacts with Planeswalkers. Well, I don't know about you, but I only meet a Planeswalker in about 20 games of Limited. Strixhaven Stadium, that's amazing. It's a mana spell that allows you to get tap 1 mana. But also, if you've hit your opponent 10 times in a row, they will lose the game. I don't know about you, but it's very hard for me to imagine a situation in which I've hit my opponent 10 times and they have not yet lost the game. The Biblioplex, a colorless land, which allows you to get card advantage, but only if you have 7 or no cards in hand, and only if the card on top is a sorcery or an instant. Well, I think this card is already quite bad, it being a colorless land, which is very hard to use in Limited. But then the conditions extra it gives, it must be an instant, it must be a sorcery, you must have 0 cards, you must have 7. This is not good enough. Double Major says that in the late game, when you no longer have creatures in hand, you are allowed to copy the first thing you top deck. Or in the early game, if you have no good things to cast because you don't really have enough mana to spare, you get to copy something mediocre. Exponential Growth is a combat trick, which is at sorcery speed. Then at the bottom we have some rares which are still somewhat fine and debatable, especially, I say, the Strict Proctor. I mean, it's a 2 mana 1/3 flying. It supposedly also has other text, but I don't really care about that. I guess it's fine, but there's a good chance that you'll find an uncommon which is better than it. The same goes for Academic Probation. It's a pretty good lesson, but there should be better cards in your pack. Culling Ritual, on the other hand, 50% of the time will be a disadvantage for you at the moment, and the mana it gives will not that often be useful. Body of Research could be a 6 mana make a 20/20 token, but at the same time, getting exactly 3 green and exactly 3 blue is quite often hard to do, even in the 2-color deck. There are so many ways for tokens to be interacted with negatively. I don't really like the card, though it could be fine. So there we have it. There are 5 color combinations we could be using in this set. There are 3 new things we need to, I guess, learn. It's the learn mechanic, the lesson mechanic, the magecraft mechanic, and the warp mechanic. And then last but not least, there are a few cards we should keep in mind never to play, which are these commons, these uncommons. And if we see these rares in our packs, we are allowed to scream a little. So that's everything we need to know about Strixhaven in 10 minutes or less. I hope you liked the video. There will be more videos about Strixhaven very soon, of course. And I hope you'll have fun playing with the new set. I hope it's going to be a good one. If you liked the video, please leave a like. And if you'd like to see more videos about Magic the Gathering, subscribe to the channel. Anyway, see you around!